Good morning, guys. Hope you enjoyed the funnel forecast early on today. Some really positive remarks on Twitter talking about Tony Funnel, actually. And it seems that we've stirred some good memories, so that's got to be a good thing. Now, tomorrow, Cherries entertain West Ham at the Vitality in a hotly anticipated fixture after both teams crashed out of the Carabao Cup. Of course, we went out 2-0 to Burton. And West Ham, well, they succumbed 4-0 to the mighty Oxford United. Now in the Premier League, both teams have actually started fairly well and will be aiming to maintain some kind of league momentum at least, just to put to bed their respective horror shows in the week. Now in a moment, we're going to hear from West Ham fan Steve May, who was on the podcast with us earlier this week. But first, I just thought it was a good chance to take an opportunity to remember Mick Cunningham. Mick was a lifelong Cherry who was in and around the club for decades. It was actually this weekend 4 years ago that Mick was suddenly taken from us after the Cherries travelled to Stoke City in the Premier League. Father of one, Mick, a loyal fan employed by AFC Bournemouth for almost 20 years before his departure in 2013. Then he went on to work for the Daily Echo. A former Oakmead school pupil, Mick spent almost 16 years with the RAF as a supply manager before taking on a wide-ranging media role with the Cherries. And I remember myself and John Sharkey, who ran an AFC Bournemouth site called Boscombe on the Web. He was always so helpful if we had any questions or queries. And he ended up, he worked for the Cherries for about 2 decades, organising, printing programmes, taking pictures, working in the shop, the car park, pretty much anything. He also set up the Exiles Club for expat supporters, not the 8502 fanzine, and was a keen supporter of the junior Cherries as well. And he also visited every league ground in England and Scotland to join the 92 club. At the time, Eddie Howe said Mick's loss was so sudden and he'll be greatly missed. On behalf of everyone at AFC Bournemouth, I'd like to send our condolences to the family. And Richard Crease, the Echo photographer, said he was a true gentleman, always thinking of others before himself. 4 years ago that was, and Mick Cunningham, top man, and he will never be forgotten by AFC Bournemouth fans. Now, Mick, of course, would be loving how AFC Bournemouth have cemented their Premier League status over these past few seasons, and I'm sure that nothing would have pleased him more than that cheeky Friday night win over Saints. But can we maintain the league form tomorrow? Well, in our way is an informed West Ham side, and supporter Steve May came on the podcast earlier this week, and he believes that the manager has organised them in the right way and expects the Iron to be going back to East London with all 3 points.
Hi, Steve here, West Ham fan. With regards to the season so far, do you know what? I've been really surprised. 6 games in, we've only lost to Manchester City. And let's be honest, we're not going to be the only team to say that this season. We've just beaten Man United at home 2-0. We've had some really good performances. And do you know what? Sometimes, as long as the inputs are there, you can't really argue what the team's doing. And I really feel this year that all the players, man to man, they've given 100%, and I've been really impressed. What has stuck out this year, which I never thought I'd say, is how solid we've been defensively this year. You know, we've always had this ethos where, we play an attacking brand of football. But at the end of the day, you're only as good as your back four and your keeper. And Lewis Fabianski, I've been always impressed with him. He's always been a good shot stopper. But this year, we look really solid at the back, which I never thought, we would do. Going forward, well, I've been very excited. The likes of Lomachenko, Lanzini, Halap up front. I think going forward, we look really solid. So, very impressed. Next game up, Bournemouth at the Vitality. Never an easy game. Very impressed with Bournemouth as a team. I love the manager. I think Eddie Howe, Bournemouth, are very lucky to have him. I think he's a very solid manager. He wears his heart on his sleeve. And actually, I think he's destined for bigger things. So all the time Bournemouth can hang on to him, I think you've got a very good young manager there, and who knows, maybe a future England manager, in my opinion. Very, very good manager. I think with regards to the next game, I think it's going to be a good game. Last year you guys turned us over 2-0. Oh, unfortunately I was there. And we didn't turn up on that day, I'll be honest with you. So I'm hopeful for a good performance. I think if I stuck my neck out this year, I think there'll be goals in it. It will never be a 0-0. I'm going to go for 3-1 to West Ham, with Lanzini scoring first. I think he's due a goal. And let's have it on Saturday.
Yeah, so some interesting thoughts there from Steve. Seems very confident. On my part, based on the previous performances that we've had against West Ham, where we've come out on top, twinned with the fact that Eddie's probably put a rocket up the backsides of the players on Wednesday night and Thursday, I think we're going to be in for quite a pulsating affair. But based on our history, I think it's one that AFC Bournemouth are going to come out on top of. The team I see is probably being unchanged. The only doubt perhaps is Solanke maintaining his spot, as there is the option of bringing in Fraser and then putting King back up top. But the formula worked on Friday night and it will probably work again tomorrow. I mean, Fraser certainly needs to start showing the form that has linked him with moves to Arsenal, as you know, otherwise his mooted weekly wage for a new contract, as pie in the sky as that is ridiculously absurd. And isn't it funny, when people are linked with other clubs, they almost seem to shoot themselves in the foot with some horrendous showings, not least Eddie himself. Tuesday night, after the Spurs got knocked out to Colchester, the media, fans, loads of people, even betting companies were placing odds linking him with the Spurs job, only for him to piss on his own rumour bonfire and then masterminded the showing against Burton, and then no one's really talking about it anymore. Anyway, this morning in his pre-match press conference, we heard a little bit from Eddie Howe. Now, he was obviously very gutted about the cup performance and said, "We're very, very disappointed to go out in midweek. In terms of the team I picked, I loved that team. It's full of quality, but it didn't show. They were good enough to win that match." But he went on to say, "It's very important that we don't forget the positivity, the results against Southampton and Everton. We want to create that atmosphere from the Everton game tomorrow." He said, "From our perspective, we want to find that consistency that eluded us last season, and it should be a really good game on Saturday." So, yeah, there you go. That was what Eddie said, and I'm just looking at the actual team that I thought that it's going to be, and yeah, pretty much as it was last week. I think, as I said, defensively, I think it's going to stay as it is. So we've got Aaron Ramsdale, Jack Stacey, Cook, Ake, Rico, and then I think the midfield is going to stick with Lerma and Billing. Cook not great in the week. Harry Wilson will maintain his place, and then it's just that left side, Josh King or Ryan Fraser. Oh, I don't know. It's really difficult because Solanke, by all accounts, not performing in the week, but he just needs regular, and I think he will probably start over Fraser. I don't know, because Eddie's still trying to teach Ryan a lesson. But then Ryan Fraser's put in some good performances against West Ham. That's the only one thing we don't know, but I'm just going to stick with the same team against Saints. That's what I'm predicting, but it could well be a Fraser, King, Solanke swap between that triangle, with Solanke missing out. Now, the other points of note for tomorrow is the referee is Stuart Atwell. Some fairly interesting stats. Bournemouth are undefeated in their last 3 Premier League matches under Stuart Atwell, 2 wins and a draw. Conversely, West Ham have lost 2 of their last 3. Do those stats mean anything? Not too sure. But we should expect a free-flowing contest. Atwell awards just 19 free kicks per game on average. That's the lowest distribution of any active Premier League referee. So if Lerma goes in with some hefty challenges tomorrow, then hopefully he's going to let play go on. That That's quite handy, eh? I'll be outside the game tomorrow doing some fan chat, so as you walk out of the main reception, say just to the left by the fence, we'll be standing there and just trying to get as many fans' views as possible. If you're new and worried about coming on, don't. It's only me and an iPhone. But yeah, it'd be really interesting to have your views, and we'll pop them straight onto YouTube straight afterwards. Enjoy the rest of your Friday, guys, and up the cherries. See you tomorrow.